You have no idea everything that encompasses having something so cheap. The price of fast fashion, the contamination of water, also the waste. They're just contaminating in Chile, in Ghana, in Bangladesh. Someone is paying the cost that we are not paying for the garments. There are kids that are working on these garments. There are women who are sometimes trapped in spaces that have no light or air. Nylon is probably the worst, and polyester takes so much time to degrade. Those fibers are made of toxic materials. Oh, shipping sucks too. Transportation, the carbon footprint going through plane, through the sea. There are so many like problems around it. I am Ana. We're in Bogota, Colombia. This is our workshop. We do alterations, tailoring, and upcycling. These were two or three jeans, and we just cut them into little squares and made this little vest. Here's Lily. She does everything that has to do with the sewing part of the garments, from ripping it apart to building it completely. I feel like the easiest word or term for this is upcycling. What I am doing is changing perspectives for people to build new relationships with their clothes. So they can learn that they can repair, that they can give it new life, and there's no need to buy something else. I feel like we are lacking responsibility of the things that we buy. And it's important for us to recognize that everything we buy, we are responsible of. It's like, okay, if I'm responsible for this that is sitting in my closet, then I can give it new life. Usually we spend lots of time looking for things. I feel like this is a very complex subject regarding the way we dress, because most of the people dress to feel outside expectations or like to fit in some space. We want to switch that. I'm very excited to work with this. It's not done. Like, this is just the idea, and I'm gonna get it started with it. There's not a common thing people usually bring. I feel like I've seen everything. People like bringing jackets from their grandparent that they want to like fit to their body because those materials were great. What our grandparents experienced fashion-wise was things that were made especially for them in very good materials. They were very well made, because making clothes take time. One of the main reasons why I do this is because I grew up watching my grandma being a seamstress. Both of my grandmothers are. Both of them, like, they brought their families out of poverty through this job. So it's something that I was always like around. It was very interesting because I studied in New York, and for us Colombians, it was like a big deal. Like, for my mom to being able to do the effort for me to study in the US. And I never considered like my grandmother's job as what I wanted to do, because, like, I studied in the US, or I had like my aspirations should have been those of like a big fashion designer or a big house. But through the process of knowing myself and discovering like who I am, I discovered that I wanted to do the same thing that my grandmother was doing in a whole new way, and in a way that felt that I could like express my creativity. So this is what we ended up with. So these are the districts of Bogota, and these are pictures and photographs of the streets and the walls. I just love that I can show people the value of those things that my grandmother did in her time. Just to value it again and love it again and enjoy it. What happens is that fast fashion came to show us that we can make these kind of things, these kind of clothes, in a very fast-paced way. So we can make many of them, produce many of them, and offer them to the world. I feel like that was a human necessity that we needed to fulfill, and we did it. But at what price? My vision of the ideal world, it's hard. It's hard to think of an ideal world, because I feel like what I've learned so far with life is that there's light and there's darkness in this world. This is the way this world is built, and this is the way we also move forward. The harms of fast fashion are the contamination of water, because the fabrics come out in a natural color, so every color that we see is dyed. If it's a synthetic fiber like polyester, it's probably a chemical dye too. The second thing would be the amount of garbage that is created because of this industry. So not only the garments that are made, but also the waste from the garments that are made, because fabric comes out in meters and meters of fabric, and then once you cut it out, When it's fast fashion, they cut it out in big machines and they discard all the waste. Those waste goes also to the water sources, especially in Bangladesh. If you want to know about the harm of this industry, Bangladesh is the main focal point. And also in the Atacama Desert in Chile, which is one of the biggest clothes discarding garbage disposals. It's so big in Ghana as well.
And then what happens with these mountains of clothes?
They just remain there because like you can incinerate them, but also the gases that it produces are super harmful for the environment. There was this one big scandal from Burberry. I don't know if you can talk about this, but they incinerated tons of money worth of products because it was easier for them to burn it out than to try to sell it. There's water waste and water contamination, like both things. Especially, for example, with denim, I think people don't realize like denim, the actual color of the blue that we know, it's like a dark blue. You can notice this by like looking at the pockets in your denim and like looking at the inside. So what's the inside was the actual color. And to get those colors that are lighter or washed, you need water. You need tons of water for that. Here we have a denim jacket that is a very light color. And this is the actual color that it was dyed on. So this was the color, and then they used tons of water and washed it. Sometimes they wash it with rocks. Once you see like these kinds of washing that are like faded, they usually use these big washing machines with rocks and water.
Oh, is that what stonewashed is?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then with all those liters of water, they can reach these lighter colors. But this was the original color that it was dyed in. And the original color was probably white or natural. So it was 3 processes to reach to this one. We talk about intentional fashion. And I feel like the intention is like the missing link. The reason why Vana is called Vana.
Yes.
So, Vana in Spanish actually means shallow. It means like unimportant. And I really like this word for many reasons. I used it because my name is Hannah, and my last name starts with a UV. And it made sense like with my name, but also this I found it like ironic because everyone thinks that fashion is shallow and that it's unimportant and superficial, but it's so important. Like it means a lot. It's everything we do every day, and it's everything that affects lots of people, our planet, and if it affects our planet, it affects every one of us. So I just want for people to know that fashion is important, and also because it talks a lot about our relationships with ourselves. It's the way we present it to the world, and it's something that we can really enjoy and have fun with. So yeah, I just want for people to understand how important this is. So Vana was a fashion brand for over 7 years. We did everything we could to make this brand a sustainable brand. We used natural fibers. We did slow processes of production. We even had like this circular economy model in which people could bring their garments to get repaired. And through all of this journey, I found out that even though like we were doing every effort to make it sustainable, at the end of the day, we had to make mass productions of these clothes to make it sustainable also economically. Like we needed both things. So in this search of like purpose, we finally decided to look somewhere else. And repairing clothes became like our main thing, and also making personalized options for clients so they can like have better relationships with what they own. What I want my clients to stop doing is to want to look for outside validation, but to just find their own language through clothing. While we were a fashion brand, there was always something ticking in the back of my head that wasn't letting me be fulfilled and happy with what I was doing. And it was because like we were part of a system in which we had to produce, overproduce, and like sell. It felt sometimes like I was like manipulating people to buy my things, although it was like something that came out of my heart and that I loved. But it did feel like you maybe don't need that. It is very easy to feel grounded doing what I do because it feels right. It feels like we are showing people a new way to consume. My perception of fashion changed completely. I was looking for validation as well. I wanted to be perceived as a big brand, amazing, like for everyone to praise my designs. But now that I let it go, and now I feel like my ego was like rested, I let go of my desire to design something perceived for a big crowd, and I started designing for every person to find their own way of expressing. And through that, what I found is there are just some things that spark joy out of nowhere, that you see it and they're like, wow, what is that? That is so interesting. So those are the things that you should get for yourself and try and experiment. Don't make it so serious. Don't make it about other people watching you. Make it about yourself, your relationship with who you are. So I am a hoarder. I haven't been able to throw away all the waste, and we came with this solution, and it's cutting it really small like this. And eventually what we want to do is save enough of this to in order to make beds for dogs, for foundations, because we really love people who rescue dogs. And we thought this might be a good way to give it purpose to all these little scraps. This gets me a little emotional because many of the clothes that we know are made in very inhumane conditions. There are kids that are working on these garments. There are women who are sometimes trapped in spaces that have no light or air. Someone is paying the cost that we are not paying for the garments. And it's usually those people who are working, making those things because there's no other option for them. So I do feel like the energy of those people who are just working in these ways affect the garment, in contrast to garments that are made with care, with love, with time, in the way that it should be. More than the energy of those people trapped in the clothes is the energy that you're putting in those garments that you buy. I am buying this because it's cheap, so that's the treat that you're gonna give to a garment. That's the actual problem, the way we are building relationships with objects. It feels like things are discardable, like nothing matters because we have everything on site. But that's not the way nature works. Nature has a purpose. I am not sure if people would change the way they consume if they knew the truth, because I know for some people it's important. They will be shocked and they would try to change it. But I do feel like also for some people they don't care. And that's a very hard truth to accept, but there's people who put us in care. The reason why people keep buying Shein and all these fast fashion brands is because they're really good at their job, manipulating and selling. And also, like, the price is great. You feel like you're doing the bargain, or like, this is great for what I want. The problem is the mindset that we are buying with. It's like, I need to buy for this one scenario or this one occasion, and then I'm fine letting it go. And that's why it feels good to buy something that is so cheap. But once you change your relationship with things that you buy, it's gonna feel different. It's not gonna be like, I want the cheapest option. No, it's gonna be like, I want the best option, the one that lasts the longer, that feels better on my skin, the ones that's. It's also like, I feel like it's a health issue, like having like all these garments, and also the way that they were made. You have no idea everything that encompasses like having something so cheap in your hands. The most contaminating material is probably nylon. For example, the stockings, that is so frustrating because the stockings break so easily, but they last forever on earth. It's one of the things that takes the longest to degrade. Nylon is probably the worst, and polyester in general. I don't know if you know this, but polyester takes so much time to degrade. It could take up to 500 years. So there are garments that we buy that we use once or twice, and they live for 400 plus years than we do. So that's why responsibility is so important. Like, the things that we get, they stay on this earth for so long. Most of the fabrics that we know nowadays are synthetic. Polyester, nylon, lycra. Fabrics from natural origin are cotton, linen, hemp, leather, of course, and different kinds of leather that come from vegetables. What happens with natural fibers is that they allow your skin and your body to breathe. So, for example, if you sweat and you feel like you smell, it's probably because you're wearing polyester, because those fabrics do not allow your body to breathe. Polyester comes from, how to say, petróleo.
Oh yeah, petroleum.
Petroleum?
Oh really?
Yeah. And once you burn it, it's toxic. Not only that, but those are the fibers that are in contact with your skin all day. All day you're wearing them, your underwear, everything around you. For example, gym clothes, everything that requires a lot of stretch and lycra, that is all polyester. And you're sweating all day in those fibers that are made of toxic.
How sustainable am I?
Okay, so you are 65% viscose, 35% polyester. So we talked about viscose. It's from natural origin, but the polyester in it is gonna take a long time to degrade. It's interesting because it looks like a super lightweight. It looks very natural. That's why you need to look at the label to be sure of it because it's breathable though. At least it's not like attached to your body.
So now my reaction is, oh, I want to get rid of it. What do? I'm trapped.
No. The opposite. Like everything you have, if you know it's gonna take so long to biodegrade, then use it as much as you can. Like take advantage of it, because it's a long-lasting material. Just make the best out of it, or make it into something else if you get bored of it. How do you know when to upcycle or when to recycle? What you do is just look at the material, and I feel like it's very intuitive. You know when the material is good to go and when you can do something else about it. If it feels like the material is too small, like I don't know, this top is tiny but the material is great, save it, because you can use this with something else to create something new. Like you can combine it. Once the material feels like it's not good, it's like probably, I don't know, how do you say that, when it's like frailed, that the threads are just not good, that's the point in which you recycle it. But if it's ripped, if it's broken but the material is good to go, we can upcycle it.
There's a defect on these. Got kind of discolored in the washing machine. And up here specifically. Can you see it's like burnt?
Yeah, I see it. It was in the washing machine?
Yeah.
Oh really? That's so strange. Why? And this is Uniqlo, which is, they usually use good materials. If your clothes get ruined in the washing machine or something of this sort, I would give you 3 options. For this one, it's a little harder when it gets damaged in this part because we can't save it. We can't save the waistband or this part of the pants. The first option would be to use some embellishment of some sort or some patchwork type of thing. We could replace the whole waistband for another kind of fabric and make it different, make maybe something that contrasts, or if you want to remain like the pants to be simple, then we can find some fabric that matches the color and then change the waistband. And for here, for this stain, we could either do like shorts. If you want to make them shorter, just remove the whole thing, and maybe the fabric that is over here, we can add them on the sides if you wanted something that is more flared. Or we can make them into a little thing like this, like overalls, if you wanted to, over here, up here, and then maybe either change the part of this part of the pants, or leave them as shorts. Like it's worth it to make something else out of it. Like if this happened to you in the washing machine, just make sure to hand wash it the next time so it doesn't happen again. But the fabric looks good. Like all of the remaining things besides from the spots are good. We could also make something completely different, like something small, like a crop top, or change it into like a little vest top. That could also be an option. Look, this has so many things on it. It has viscose, linen, polyester on the body, and then the lining is polyester and cotton. Viscose that's a very interesting fiber because it's from natural origin. Like it's made from cellulose, from wood, but the way of processing it's chemical. So it's good that it's from natural origin. It doesn't take as much to decompose or degrade, but the way it's done, it could be harmful. It has 34% of linen, and that's why I feel like the perception of that the fabric has, these little lines and this, you can tell it has linen on it. So that's why it looks so nice. And the polyester, which actually there's some good and some bad in these combinations. The good is that sometimes the fibers are more resistant, but also it's very hard to recycle, for example, because it's combined, so it's almost impossible. The way in which we can take better care of our clothes is just washing is everything, honestly. Like that's everything we do. And I feel like there are 2 things. One is that if you have so many clothes, you just stop caring for them. It's like there's so many, I don't know, I'll just like toss it around and like putting in the washing machine and don't even check out the label. So if you don't have as many clothes, I feel like you can be more careful for them. And we need to check at those labels. I know they're hard to understand, and I wish brands would make it easier for the customer to understand what the labels are saying. For example, denim or like fibers that are thicker, they don't require as much washing. But most of the time, you can tell when something is delicate. Just try to wash it by hand, and if it feels like a lot of work, just put it aside. And once you have time, you can wash it by hand. So if someone wants to be more fashion conscious, I would say the first thing to do and the main thing was that they should upcycle, because there are already materials in their closet waiting for them to have new lives. So that is the most sustainable option. These are things that already exist and that we can create and turn into something else. The second option would be to go for natural fibers. And I would recommend especially cotton, linen, and hemp. I love hemp. Third thing, I would say buy local. Like buy from someone that's producing where you are. Because the carbon footprint that implies just like going through plane or through the sea or whatever, those things, it has a big impact. So if you source locally, it's great because you're just like also helping your own economy and avoiding all those things that require like shipping. Oh, shipping sucks too. Yeah. The actual problem is overconsumption. Like that is the root issue, because no matter what efforts you do, if you buy everything organic, but if you buy so much organic, it's still like a lot of water that you're wasting. It's just too much. Like the resources are not enough for the way we are consuming. My dream vision for the fashion industry in the next 10 years would be something like um, people being more involved in the creation of their garments and being patient. I feel like that's the main thing. Like people allowing time to happen and just not want everything in the second, but just if you have an event, then a month before you're already thinking what you're wearing and you are giving it time to be created and for it to be perfect for you. I feel like the main problem is like the immediacy, like just wanting everything at the moment. And what I wish for the industry and for the world is for us to understand and to enjoy waiting. My ideal world probably would be somewhere where humans could learn that doing things together and collaborating and finding a middle spot instead of like choosing one side or the other. I feel like middle ground is a great place to be, and to understand that other people can have very different views to yours and you can still like coexist in the same space. And I also feel like there's a big problem with like private property and thinking like the way we humans think like this is mine and you can't have it. And in my ideal world, people would share more and like enjoy sharing and like just feel like not everything is their property, but just like this is our space and we can all enjoy it. I feel something of that sort.